Hey, this is Cooper Mohrmann. You're listening to Texas Toast Podcast.
Best, so let's go.
Cheers, everyone, and welcome to the Texas Toast Podcast with Miss Helen. And I'm so excited to welcome to this episode Cooper Mohrmann. Hello, how's it going for
Hey,
you?
how's it going, Helen? Thanks for having me on. Things are going great here.
Wow, you are so interesting. Of course, you're originally from the Houston area. How was it there growing up? And did you do music when you were young? Or
No, I didn't do music growing up, actually. I played baseball pretty much the entire time. And, I love music. Growing up, I listened to a lot of classic rock that my dad showed me and country music on the radio. But I never really got into music until I went off to Baylor for undergrad. And I got my first guitar for my graduation present from high school and started just writing songs. I've always loved writing. I loved poetry when I was in high school. And so it was just a natural switch that I had stories I wanted to tell. And, I wanted to, so I started writing them down, added some chords to them. And then I was like, well, I guess I gotta sing them. And then here we are now. So
yes, you're definitely a storyteller. I want to back up to one thing because I'm a huge baseball fishing is life. So baseball, you were quite a standout though when you were in high school.
yeah, I love baseball. I played a lot of tournament baseball growing up.
Mhm.
And I was lucky enough to have my high school baseball coaches were Andy Pettit and Lance Berkman. And
Shut
so,
up.
uh,
That's right. You go because where you went to high school.
yes, I went to Second Baptist for high school. And so those were the guys there. And I got to, play middle infield and win a state championship there. And it was a swan song of a high school experience. So I
I am
definitely I thought about going to play at a couple small schools, and I had a couple of offers, nothing big time. And when I went on my official visits out there, I was like, man, I don't want to go somewhere that's cold and smaller than my high school. And so I decided to take my talents up to Waco, Texas, and study biology.
anybody that listens to this podcast and knows me knows I'm freaking out right now. I just have to ask you one question about Lance Berkman because he's one of my favorite Astros.
Uh-huh.
Is he as funny in person as like just seeing him on the field and his personality? And whoever came first,
Oh, he was one of the funniest baseball people I've ever been around. And being that I'm a storyteller and it's been passed down from generations in my family. We always sit around the dinner table and just let my dad tell stories about all sorts of funny stuff. And Lance was incredible. He had so many great stories about his time in the league. And oh man, we were laughing about half the time out there. It was incredible.
okay, so now everyone, if your mind isn't already blown, let's tell everyone what outside of music, we're going to get into your music, but
Yeah.
what you're doing now, you are in dental school. You're going to be a dentist.
Yes, I'll be a doctor in 2 years.
Good Lord.
I go to the University of Texas Dental School here in Houston. It's in the med center. And yeah, I loved every minute of it. I wasn't set on dentistry growing up. I kind of came into that towards the end of high school that I might be interested in that. And there's a lot of different reasons I like it, but I'll give you my little application pitch. And it was three things that I love about dentistry. It's that it combines art and entrepreneurship and science. And those are three things that I love. And it really actually complements music really well in the sense that it gives me a reason to wake up early on Monday mornings and keep my brain sharp and constantly, pursue learning new things and being a lifelong learner. And then it also gives me an opportunity to serve people every single day for my occupation. But then I also, with music, after a long day of school or work, then I can relax and, go to rehearsal or write new songs myself. And I have something to look forward to on the weekend. So, one day when I have a bad day in school, I got something to look forward to with music. And then one day when something doesn't go perfectly right with music, then I also got, dentistry to fall back on. And I think a lot of people might look at it at first as kind of a crutch almost, that you don't have to be perfect at either of them because you always got the other to fall back on. But I look at it the other way, in the sense that I think it actually maintains my mental health a lot better than most people that dive 100% into only one thing. And then when that one thing is tough, then it's like, well, where do you go when if you don't have any other outlets, so it's been really helpful for me, balancing everything.
Super awesome. I'm scared of dentists. I get really scared when I have to go to the dentist.
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't had really good experiences, so I'm sure you're going to be a great one. Well, let's talk about all the different aspects and all the different things, all the different hats that you wear in the music business. Of course, you're singing, songwriting. We're going to talk about some of your music here in a few minutes, but I want everyone to understand that you work on artwork and your merch and you strategize for your releasing of your music. You really put a lot of thought and your hands on in the business as far as music.
Exactly. No, I really pride myself on that, and I enjoy managing all the different aspects of music. Originally, when I got into music, I was focused on obviously the songwriting, and then just the basics, the singing, and get improving my guitar skills, and setting up gigs initially. And I really enjoyed the all the business side of things as
Mhm.
well. Most artists focus on the music side of things, especially in conversation, and rightfully so. That's really what the product is. But there's a lot more behind the scenes that goes on. And so, for instance, like, and all the finances that go into it, not that you're focused on the money, but, in order to have merch out at your shows and have multiple different t-shirts, then you better get your unit prices down on shirts, and you better have something that's an attractive shirt that is going to be able to pander to a large audience, not just to a small fraction of your listeners. And also making sure that whatever your merch is something that you would wear and that reflects your brand. And so you mentioned the artist thing, and I really enjoy being an artist in all aspects of the word, not just a songwriter as an artist, or not just a singer as an artist, um, but also designing new hats and new styles, and working with my artists on cover art really intimately.
Mhm.
And probably begrudgingly so in certain instances with artists where they're used to working with artists, like musicians I should say, that just say, hey, I need a cover art for this, and they send it to them, and there's no edits or anything like that. And I'm passionate about making sure that every piece of art and every post that I put out is a reflection of my brand, because my brand isn't separated from myself. It's not a band name. It's not something that's not connected to me. It's Cooper Mohrmann. And
Mhm.
so I want to put my name on something, then I want to be proud of that product.
So let's go ahead and jump in to talk about some of your music. A huge success for you. This was the release of Whiskey When I'm Gone. Let's talk a little bit about the backstory on that and how it all came to fruition.
Yeah. So I wrote that song in, I guess it was early 2021. And, one of my favorite things about that song is just that, and I think that a lot of artists relate to this, is that um, I wrote that song late at night, sitting on the side of my bed with my guitar. And um, that one just, it came so naturally. All the lyrics just flowed out of it. I got a little notebook actually over here that's got all my lyrics from my probably first 50 or 60 songs. And it I think I changed like four lyrics in the song after the first time I wrote it, which doesn't happen all the time. Um, and so I took that song to get recorded at Melody Mountain Studios with Josh Serrato. And Josh is the lead guitar player for Co, and he was with William Clark Green for a long time, and they got a great thing going over there. Josh is so talented. I took that song in there, and I think that the most unique part of Whiskey When I'm Gone is that it has a time signature change from the verse to the chorus, and then back from to the second verse and into the chorus, where it goes from 6/8 to 4/4.
Mhm.
Um, and that is not common at all. Nobody does that in music because it rarely flows seamlessly. And so when I brought it in there, I was a pretty green young artist. Hadn't recorded a ton of songs, and there was some pretty significant pushback on saying, maybe we should switch to having the whole song be in 4/4 or the whole song be in 6/8. And I was like, no, like I promise, we've played this song 100 times live. It's got to stay like this. Like that's what the beauty of the song is. And so we were like, all right, well, we'll try it out. And lo and behold, we turned it into something great. And I feel like the song stayed pretty true to what it was when I brought it in. Obviously, Josh is wailing on the electric guitar, and that's incredible. A couple of the licks stayed in the song from the original version, but we try to keep it really simple, and not have too many instruments, and not try to overwhelm it. Just have that live, natural feeling. And I know that, I pride myself on the passion that's heard in my vocals. And so I knew that that song was all I just needed to do was let it loose, and it would carry its weight.
Yeah, you have some good stuff. Okay, another one I want to talk about. I remember when this song dropped and I saw the title Chanel Number 5, which I've never worn that perfume before. I'm more of a Clinique happy girl, but it's a great song with Larissa Boyd.
Yes, yes, I love that song, Still Number 5. I wrote that one, and we initially cut the song. I, I wasn't really sure if I was going to cut that song that day that I went into the studio, and I showed it to my producer and I showed it to a couple of my buddies that were there before we got started, and they were like, "Cooper, like, we have to cut this song today." And I'd only played it a couple times live. I'd written it like 3 or 4 weeks before we were in the studio, and usually I like to give a little bit more lead time on songs, give them a little bit more air before we take them in and cut them. And so we cut that song, and Larissa wasn't there that day, but towards the end of the session, I was thinking, man, it'd be really cool to turn this into a duet. So I called up Larissa. She's got an incredible voice, and I
Mhm.
love so many of her songs. She's such a talented artist, and called her up, and I was like, "Look, I got this song. I think it'd be perfect for you. You got to come down and cut some vocals with us." And she loved it, and got in there, and we've gotten to play a number of shows live together, performing it. We've played at Cheatham Street and Tap and College Station there, and a number of other venues. But yeah, Larissa's a class act and a great talent.
Okay, so let's fast forward to what's going on right now. We just talked about on Texas on Tap, Night of Our Lives. It
Yes.
dropped to streaming. That is awesome. Great job on that one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, Night of Our Lives was kind of the first of a series of songs that we're gonna be putting out. I got 4 singles set for release this year, and so I felt like Night of Our Lives was the perfect one to begin the year with. That's the song that we usually start our sets with. It's a fun-loving, um,
Mhm.
up tempo country song with some good electric guitar in there. I got 2 electric guitars in our live set with the 5-piece band, and so when we cut that song, I really wanted to give them an opportunity to kind of have a dueling guitar solo at the end of the song. I feel like in 2023, we're all focused on, short and sweet, no fat on any songs. It's just got to be the most condensed version. And I just kind of reject that. I understand the logic behind it, and you can't send a 6-minute song to radio.
Mhm.
But at the same time, there's a lot of our favorite songs are 5, 6, 7 minutes, some of the classic rock stuff. And so I wanted to give them a chance to shine with that. That song also has a big key change where it goes to a minor 6 on the final chorus. And I feel like key changes are something that have also kind of lost their edge. They were really popular in 80s and 90s country, and they kind of have phased out a little bit. So that was a really fun song to cut. But looking to this next week, we're going to be putting out Wimberley,
Yes,
which
I
is
was
about,
moving to that. I love
yeah,
it. I took a listen
yes,
to it. Great job on that one.
thank you. That is a real uh, fun song, and there's some of my favorite lyrics I've ever written in that song. It's about the little town out there in the hill country. It's about 25 minutes outside of San Marcos, and it's got the Blanco River running through it, and it is heaven on earth. And there's a couple lyrics in there, like one is down on our hill country heaven, and then another one is we were hugging and kissing while off in the distance the coyotes howled us a Lone Star lullaby. And when I wrote that lyric, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get this one out to everybody. So really excited to release that. We got some fiddle at the beginning of it. It's
Mhm.
it's some good summer loving country music.
Yes, I enjoyed that. So you got 4 singles planned you're working on, and I know you start as we talked about earlier in the podcast, you really strategize when you're going to release. Now, what about you and radio releases?
Yeah, so I haven't done a whole lot of radio releases. We did push out Chanel Number 5
Mhm.
with Larissa. Larissa and her team had been putting all of her songs out to radio so far. I haven't particularly focused on radio so just yet. There's definitely a lot of value in Texas radio, and that's the backbone of Texas country music. As a young developing artist. I haven't been able to put as much attention towards that. Right now, I'm more focused on, getting more songs cut and getting, shows. I'm a booking agent right now. I've talked with a few different people about doing some booking for me, but that's been a priority of mine currently. So I haven't really put too much thought into Texas radio just yet. There's been a few stations that I have talked with though.
That's awesome. I look forward to you eventually, and I know you've got this planned out, and I know when the time is when you think the time is right, then you will have it out to radio. So let's talk about your band.
Yes, I love to.
Tell me all about them.
So I'd like to highlight my two guitar players in particular first. We got Dylan Frisky and Sonny Lund, and Dylan was one of the best friends of one of my classmates. So I had a band up in Waco when I went to Baylor, when I moved down to Houston, I needed to have some guys that were here in Houston that I could practice with and play shows, and so 2 weeks into moving to Houston, I met Dylan, and we were at just hanging out at my friend's house, and he was like, "Yeah, I play guitar. I've played in a couple bands, kind of real casual with it." And if you know Dylan, kind of keeps to himself. He's not braggadocious. He's just, just a good guy. And he was like, "Yeah, I play guitar a little bit." And I was like, "All right, well, I got my guitar in the car. You want to jam for a minute?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I was like, "You ever heard of Mary Jane's Last Dance?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've played it a couple times." And so I just strummed the chords, and he was over there just totally ripping it up on the guitar. And I was like, "All right, well, I think I found my first guitar player." And Sonny is actually the cousin of that same guy that introduced me to Dylan. And so Sonny's my other lead guitar player, and those guys have been with me for 2 years, and they're great guys. Another member of the band is named Anthony Garza, and he plays bass for us. Anthony is truly like one of the most talented people that I know. Anthony can play drums, bass, and lead guitar like professional quality. And he's also going to be a student of the dental school next year.
Oh, my
So he's going to
goodness.
be my roommate this next year. And I'm super excited that he's joined the band. He's been with us for the last like 4 or 5 months. So yeah, super talented. And then I have two different drummers that play with us, Garrett Bynum and Dane Farrington. They played with a bunch of Texas guys over the last few years, and they absolutely blow me away every time they get out there with us. So we got a good little group going, all young guys, all guys that are high energy, love to have a good time and aren't afraid to travel. That's one of the biggest things, is finding guys that are willing to, put in the grind and drive out to places that are far away for the thrill of just getting to play live music every day.
So you enjoyed the live shows?
Absolutely. I think that's, I don't even think that's absolutely my favorite
Mhm.
part of the music. If I wasn't able to play live shows, I think a little part of my soul would be missing. So,
Well, and you've already played some really key venues, but what are some of your bucket list venues?
well, so I had 4 goals when I started playing music. Like when I just had started playing music, I'd played like 2 open mics before. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And so the first one was I wanted to have songs out on platforms like Spotify. The second one was I wanted to have somebody that I didn't know sing along to a song that I wrote. Um, yeah, because that's why we write songs, is because they connect with us, and then you share them with other people, and you're able to have a connection with them because of that. And then the third was I wanted to get paid to play music. So we've got those three. Those are three pretty
Yay.
bold goals, right? And so the fourth is I want to play at Green Hall.
Oh, yes.
And so I have never gone to Green Hall intentionally, because I want the first time that I go to Green Hall to be when I am a musician there. And I want to play on that main stage. That's the goal for me. So hopefully that happens. We've gotten to play a lot of good venues around Texas. And I think that Cheatham Street in San Marcos that was another one of my bucket list venues for
Mhm.
sure. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to go there every few months and play our tunes for those people there. But I'm hoping that that's a nice little stepping stone to get to Green Hall here at some point.
And have you played many festivals or county fairs?
Mm, we played a few. We're starting to we're starting to get more opportunities for those. The best one that we've played so far was the Wild West Fest, which is out in San Angelo. And last year, that lineup was just unbelievable. And this year's lineup is equally so. But they had Turnpike on the lineup, and Whiskey Myers, and Muscadine Bloodline, and there were so many great artists, and it was really cool to be able to meet those guys. But I think that that's one of the coolest things as an artist that you get to experience is in environments where you're able to be around so many other artists, and so many other people that are not only going through the same things that you're facing in your own career and experiencing, but also just have so many similarities with you. It really is a small group of people that I think can connect on so many levels, as one country artist to another. So that's been one of my favorite parts about just music in general is being able to meet those people that you're like, man, like you are just so similar to me. It's crazy, and you definitely get so much from those conversations. So.
And you talk music so much. Like, did you study music at some point in college to take a class, or where does your like you I mean your music theory, like all the terminology, like being a music class?
Yeah, I I didn't. I took a music history class at Baylor,
What?
um,
No
and
way.
they taught us about like classical music and stuff, and it was not my, um, it wasn't up my alley really. But I haven't taken anything formally. Uh, I really, in all things in my life, when I'm passionate about something, like I can't help but go to the end of the line for it and find all those extra little things and do the research and stuff. And so um it's been fun to just learn the science behind the music, because our ears naturally have it figured out. Our head already has the science understood. So then it's just a matter of giving it a language kind of. You know, I think that like for instance, that key change that I wrote with Night of Our Lives was a song I wrote. It's probably like the fourth or fifth song I ever wrote. And that song, I was just jamming it one day on my couch up in Waco and changed to a B minor. And I was like, oh, that sounds really nice as a final chorus. And I understood that it was a key change moving up the scale. I didn't understand that it was moving to a minor six for the first chord. And then I was like, okay, well, now I have to figure out what I just did. So I sat down and studied some of the music theory until I figured it out. And that's something that I think musically for young artists is really important. Um, People are so afraid of music theory. They think that it's this big monster that is impossible to comprehend, and it's just not worth the stress of it. And I wouldn't say that. I kind of had a similar mindset just because I feel like everybody else had scared me into it just when I'd started. But really all it is just teaching you the language. It's like we all understand, like, I don't know if this analogy will hit, but we all understand the culture of, America or something, or Texas. But if you don't understand how to communicate with any of those people, then it's useless. And if you don't understand the language, then it's useless. You can understand what a cowboy is and what the Astros are and, what the Houston rodeo is. But if you can't read any of the signs about it or read any articles or talk to any of the people that are actually involved in it, then you can't really get plugged into understanding it. So with music, understanding that music theory, it's really not as complicated as it seems. It can get really complicated the further you dive into it, but I feel like it really just opens up those doors for you to understand what you're doing and then be additionally creative based off of that knowledge.
Whoa, amazing, amazing. You would think that you've been like doing this for 30 years. Like you're just giving like music 101 just now. That's just awesome. I love the way you think, and I love the way you analyze everything. And I know your parents have to be so proud of you.
I think they are. My parents have been so supportive of me my whole life, and that's not something that I take for granted. I really understand how valuable that is, and they've been so supportive of me. As I've gotten older, I'm 24 now, and I don't have a wife or kids or anything, but I am a family man, and I look forward to having a family one day. And so I've become a little bit more reflective about some of the things that I admired about my parents' approach with the way I grew up, and I was so thankful that they just let me spread my wings. And they were guiding me the whole time. They were right next to me, but they
Oh,
didn't interfere. They let me go pursue passions. They let me fall on my face a couple of times. They let me, experience those trials because they knew that was the only way that I was going to be able to learn. And I have a lot of other friends that have been raised the same way, and I know some other people that haven't. And I think that it's so important when we're young to be able to be encouraged to go pursue new things. I've always been a pretty creative person, um, but I've I'm telling you, the last 2 years with as music has really expanded, I feel like I've really come into my own as a person, understanding, the ability of all of us as artists and as creatives to design new things, to think new things. And my parents always spoke confidence into me,
mhm.
and belief, and that's so integral. Um, but you know, I think there's a lot of people out there that are probably great singers, better singers than me, great guitar players, better guitar players than me, that are afraid to go pursue it because they don't realize that they can. And there is an initial, kind of barrier to entry, with music, that you have to embrace this as a character trait. This is your new personality. And so when you speak to me, you think Cooper Mohrmann, the country artist, and you
Mhm.
have to live that out, and you have to be professional and authentic, and that is you every day. And so, and that's a big step to make for someone who isn't currently living that life. But I would just encourage everyone that is interested in, taking it to that next step. Like, I was a biology major at Baylor. I hadn't played guitar before. I hadn't sang live before 5 years ago. And here I am now. So you can do it too. Like, there's nothing standing in the way. You just got to put your nose to the grindstone, and you got to love it. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love it. I truly love every minute of, and every opportunity that I've gotten. And it's really shaped me into who I am today.
Wow. I think that's just a perfect way to wrap this amazing visit up. You're dynamic and your music is great. And I know everyone's going to fall in love with you that hasn't already and your music. And so tell everyone let's spell your name out so they can find your stuff.
Yes, it's spelled kind of funny. It's Cooper is the first name, and then last name is Mohrmann, Mohrmann, and y'all can find it on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music. We're going to be putting a music video out for Wimberley, in a couple of weeks. Wimberley comes out on the 26th of May. It's a great tune. I'm really excited for y'all to hear, and yeah, look forward to getting some feedback from everybody.
Yes. One last question we always ask. If you were a cocktail, what would you be?
Oh, shoot. I think I'd go with an old fashioned. I love old fashions. Um, I kind of trying to go for a little bit of a classy cowboy look, and yeah, I think that an old fashioned fits that just fine.
Okay. It has been a wonderful visit with you, Cooper. Best of luck to you, and we'll be keeping up with everything you do. Thank you so much, Cooper.
Thanks so much. Y'all have a good afternoon.